We have an actress, a manager, and former WWE Women's Champion, none other than Debra McMichael. Debra, thanks for joining us.
Oh, you are very welcome.
Debra, now, before we get into a lot of things, I mean, right off the bat, you were a 1992 Miss Texas USA a winner in the pageant. Can you tell us, what would you consider harder, beauty pageants or pro wrestling?
You know what's interesting? I'm kind of like a cat. I have different lives. And so, all the way with the beauty pageants and all that, I mean, that's still, you're dealing with some pretty tough females. As in, some beauty pageant females can be tough to deal with. But I'd say they probably both go neck and neck.
All right.
So Debra, you were a part of arguably the greatest era in professional wrestling, an era that everyone still talks about today, the Attitude Era. During the Attitude Era, something happened, and all of a sudden we started hearing more and more about puppies. And everybody who's listening knows exactly what we're talking about. Whose idea was it to get the puppies involved?
Well, I think it just kind of happened. It was not anything planned. And then it seemed like Jerry just said it, and then it just kind of went from there, and then it was just crazy how it took off.
Yeah, it was pretty much a staple in the Attitude Era, I guess you could say. Were you a fan of pro wrestling as a young girl, or did you just kind of walk into the business? Because I know you were kind of in the NFL with your ex-husband, dealing with the lives of NFL players. But I mean, did you have any idea what you were walking into?
No, I didn't. I mean, I can remember back when we lived in Green Bay with Wwe McMichael's final year. I remember that they had a house show there. I remember we stopped in, and then I remember Wwe McMichael did the Lawrence Taylor All-Pro team. Remember that back then?
Yep.
And I mean, I didn't watch it. I mean, I remember growing up as a kid in Alabama that it had the JC Fairground. It was like wrestling, and it would be like 2 rows of people, and it would be on the little small channel on TV. But I never really watched it. Because then my whole background too is because I lived in New York and studied at Lee Strasberg. So when I was going into WCW, I was looking at it just like I'm performing. Mm-hmm. And I think in a way that probably helped me because I didn't have any guidelines to restrict me, because I was coming in there kind of more of a naive thinker about the business.
All right.
I didn't have any guidelines on me. I just kind of did what I wanted to do.
All right.
Now, we here at Another Wrestling Podcast, we hear that you are currently pursuing, or that you are finished, getting your master's degree in criminal justice. Is that correct?
No, I'm currently halfway through it.
Okay.
I go back because I went this past semester and this summer, and I've been off for about a month, thank goodness. And I'll start back up Thursday.
Oh, wow. Well, with that being...
go to campus and sit in there with all the other grad students, and I love it.
Well, with that being said, I have to ask, which do you think is better? CSI, NCIS, Criminal Minds, or Law and Order?
It's awful to say. I never watch TV hardly.
Oh.
To be honest, the shows that I do watch, I watch the real detective shows, like the ones that are, say, like the Profilers, or ones like 48 Hours, or...
Okay.
The other ones, and again, I stay so busy with my grad school, I don't have a whole lot of time to watch TV, but then again, when I do, it's always the real stories, the reality type shows. I like those better. I'm sorry, I kind of was a buzzkill on that one.
Oh, no, that's great. It's good that you're actually, you're taking this seriously. So that's a great answer.
Now, Debra, you studied acting, right, in Texas, and you've even appeared in some commercials, music videos. You even had a small role in the 1994 film Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation. Do you wish you would have done more in acting, or is there a role out there you wish you would have had?
Well, see, when I was married to Debra McMichael, I was fortunate enough to study. Well, I studied in Chicago, too, but then my main study and what I achieved when I moved to New York City, so I chose the Lee Strasberg Theater School because that's the method actor. That's like where Marilyn trained and all the serious actors train. And so that's where, I studied for a year there, and then I wanted to do soaps and stuff like that. So I did get my wish. I became a star in wrestling.
There you go. Are you still pursuing acting, or if it happens, somebody has the right script, would you hop right to another movie?
Well, right now my priority is grad school because it's costing me a fortune.
All right.
To go to the University of Alabama. I mean, that is like a freaking. They keep raising my tuition every freaking semester. I'm like, good gosh, I've got to graduate, got to get out of here. But I can only, because in this grad program, I have to keep my grades, A's and B's. So it takes all my focus. So, but I plan when I graduate that I will, because I'm going to move. I'm in Tuscaloosa, Alabama right now, where the University of Alabama is. But as soon as I graduate, I'm going to move away. And I'm thinking about Nashville. I'm going to definitely go to a bigger city, and I would love to pursue my acting again, but like on the theater, because that's how I'm trained in the theater too. So I love acting. So
all right,
I definitely plan to pursue it when I'm through with my grad school.
Well, I think the accents are about the same from Alabama and Tennessee, so I don't think you'll have a problem blending in.
And I cannot lose this darn accent. I mean, I've lived up north for so many years, and I cannot lose it. But it's probably not helping that I'm back down here, going to school.
Oh, yeah.
Alabama, so.
It happens to, me, I'm from the Midwest originally, so whenever I go home, it gets worse than whenever I'm here because I'm now in the Northeast. But, yeah, you can't really get rid of them.
No, I sound like Forrest Gump.
Now, we talked briefly about the Attitude Era, and during that time, lots of women were coming through the ranks. You had Luna and Sable, and just all different types of women. And obviously, Sable got approached to do Playboy, and I was just wondering because I don't know if I've ever heard this or not, but were you actually approached to do it, or did they volunteer, or I just don't know how that when it came about actually.
Well, I know they approached me to be actually on the cover and to do that for Playboy, but I turned it down because, again, I had worked hard to win my 2 state titles of Mrs. Illinois America and then Mrs. Texas USA, and I took that stuff very seriously. It was before wrestling, and I knew if I had posed, if I had decided to do that and said yeah, then that would have actually taken my titles away, and that was, I turned down a lot of money, and that would have, that was a great opportunity, and I know they make everyone look so pretty in those things, but you know what? I don't regret it. I wouldn't. I would have had my titles taken away, and I'm kind of old school like that.
All right, perfect. You still look amazing today. You look like you never even aged. Is there something that you're doing that we're not doing out there? Because I saw you a few months ago in Rhode Island, and you looked amazing. What's the secret out there, Debra? What are you doing that we're not doing?
Oh, well, thank you. I will say I've always been very athletic, and I don't smoke, never have, and I don't do drugs. So I think my genetics too, like my daddy, my dad worked until he was 89 years old.
Huh?
So, and he was very athletic, and I think just the genes and the combination of I am a very healthy person. I'm very happy, and I think all that kind of plays a part.
All right. Well, I got a question. If you could give any advice to any of the women right now that are coming up in the business, because like we said before, you went through the Attitude Era. You were a big part of that, and a lot of crazy things happened back then. And I mean, there's a lot of girls out there right now who are training to be wrestlers, training to be, valets, managers, all that. Is there any advice you would want to give them, for up and coming women in the business?
Well, you got to know when you go into that business that has an expiration date. Especially as a woman, then you can't go in and do this your whole life doing that. Mm-hmm. But you can't let people tell you can't do it either. Like, you don't let people say, "Oh, well, you're too young, or you're too old, or you're too this, or you're too that." I think you just do whatever your heart wants to do, and it's hard work, and you don't give up. And you have to be 200% dedicated.
All right.
Now, Debra, you're no doubt one of the most memorable divas in professional wrestling history, not just the WWE. But the proof is in the pudding, as they say. So, what do you think you will most be remembered for in professional wrestling?
Lord, probably I don't know how to shut my mouth sometimes, probably because I'm so sassy. I'm such a sassy person. I don't know. I bet, I know the Queen Debra was a popular character with the WCW.
Yes.
But you know what? I don't know, to tell you the truth, because I've talked to different fans, and people remember the puppies, and people remember the Queen Debra. People remember. So I guess I think it just depends on what fan you're talking to, what they find, what they remember about me.
All right. Now, Debra, you were probably one of the greatest managers around, in my opinion. You've managed a lot of wrestlers from Alex Wright, Dean Malenko, Eddie Guerrero, Goldust, Jeff Jarrett, Owen Hart, Ric Flair, a lot of guys. I can keep going on. One of my favorites, personally, is Owen Hart, and I'm a big Hart Foundation fan. I grew up watching them, and I was always a big fan of them. And we know with the sudden passing of Owen Hart, he was well known for pulling pranks on other wrestlers. Do you have any good Owen Hart prank story you could let us know, or any other funny or memorable story about him?
No, I mean, it was just one funny thing after another and another. And he was just, I was just the nicest person, and there was just so many of them. It was just a joy to work around Owen, just because you kind of never knew what he was going to do. And like I said, probably one of my favorites, how he would always take your camera, like if you're at a meet and greet before the show and the fans are there, and then he'd say, "Oh, let me take a picture with your camera." And then you take the person's camera. Back in those days, I had the camera. And then you'd act like the camera wasn't working. And then you'd have to stand there and... he'd stand there for 10 minutes fiddling with the person's camera, and he's just messing with you. And you got to be I'm touchy with my fans, so I'm there with my arms out around, waiting.
That's great.
Now, you've mentioned, and we've talked about it a little bit, that you were in WCW before, and that you ultimately ended up in WWE. How was the experience different for you in WCW? We get a lot of horror stories coming out of WCW. It was very unorganized and all that. Did you feel that in WCW, or did you just enjoy your time at both places?
I just enjoyed my time at both places. I was just happy that I was performing and I had a crowd, and I was I was, I mean, I don't, yeah, I mean, I didn't think it was just, I mean, I think people will say good or bad about either company or whatever, you know, I don't know, it was, nothing's perfect in life, and so I just enjoyed my time and was thankful. And I knew, you know, I was just happy that I was acting. I was a character. And I know it's sports entertainment, so I remember back then we weren't supposed to say that, but I know some people still don't like to say that, but it is, it's sports entertainment.
Yeah, it's, Deborah, we keep saying it, I'm sorry we keep repeating it, but during the Attitude Era, you know, the envelope was pushed on a weekly basis. Did you ever have to do anything that you didn't feel comfortable with, or was there anything that was planned that you were like, no, I'm not doing this?
No, I tell you what really helped me a lot was my theatrical training at Lee Strasberg, because when you play a character, you know, you become that person, that you become that character. So, and I knew how the business worked. You know, it's ratings, and you want to be at the top, and that means it's about the shock value. And to me, it was just, I mean, I was in control of what I did, and you know, they would ask, "Hey, would you be okay doing this?" I'm like, "Yeah, fine." I mean, I knew my character was a sexy character. I knew I had to hit, you know, my demographics was, you know, this certain age bracket and this, and, you know, it was like a pie, you know, and I filled this part. And again, I knew, actually, I had the easiest job because I didn't have to go out and I did cat fighting, you know, I didn't have to do stuff like the other girls, you know, and the guys had their, you know, they had it really tough. I actually had the easiest job. I just kind of like, you know, just did Deborah. I mean, that was, so I was very fortunate.
Well, we definitely thank you for that, because I was one of those demographics that you were trying to fill. So that was great. But now you recently, I mean, you just said that you really don't watch a lot of television. So is it safe to say that you don't currently watch the shows, or do you ever catch them while you're, you know, flipping through the channels?
Yeah, I mean, I like watching the shows, but it's just with this grad school. To be honest, I was so covered up with writing papers, and so I might have the TV on like in the background if I'm flipping, just to have something going. And I will say, if I flip and it's on, I will stop and like watch for a little bit, and then I gotta get back to writing, you know. But it's funny how, you know, it's entertaining, and it's always nice when I flip in the channels and I see it's somebody that I worked with back in the day or somebody I know. That's always nice.
Now, the big thing that everybody's talking about now is the WWE Network. It's, you know, it's a huge thing, and now all these new people who may not have gotten to see your body of work live can go back through and see that. Is that like, does that make you feel good, or how does that make you feel that maybe, you know, thousands of people will now get to see Deborah that may not have, you know, prior to this?
No, I think it's just really good for the business, because even for the, you know, everyone that worked during the Attitude Era, I think it's kind of what made us the top back in those days will still bring in the same crowd, because it's, you know, I think it's a great move for the company to have done, you know, the WWE Network. I mean, I think it's wonderful, because now people can see, oh, well, you know, this wrestler, or this film, you know, this female, or this guy, you know, it kind of just, we can still touch our fans too, the ones that would follow us back then. They can go back now and look, and, you know, it's nice to see the ones that you really wanted to watch again be back on TV. And, you know, in a different way, but you still get to still see us.
All right, Deborah, now, for all the fans out there, they knew who the Clique was, you know, with Shawn Michaels, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, all those guys, you know, best friends behind the camera, that, eventually everybody knew about, and they called them the Clique. Did Debra have a clique backstage? Like, did you have a few best friends that, maybe we didn't really know about? Or is there somebody who you thought through the business or through the years that you were really good friends with, or you still keep in touch with today?
Well, I traveled and Tess. Did you know that?
No.
Like, how you always share rides. You share.
Oh, yeah.
Because, yeah, so I would always ride with Sylvanus and Tess because, we didn't drink and we worked out all the time. So it was we kind of just, it worked well for us with our personalities and so that was something a lot of people didn't realize that.
All right. And
we travel together and like we'd go and it's so, because, you split everything, the rent a car, the gas.
Sure.
And we'd always stay at the Red Roof Inn. I know that sounds crazy, the Red Roof Inn, because when you travel as much as we did back then, you kind of want something that's, something that's familiar. And all the Red Roof Inns had the same kind of rooms. So it was like you were in the same room every night.
Oh, nice, yeah. Now, a little follow-up question with that, and you don't have to throw anybody under the bus, but we've asked a bunch of people to where, was there anybody that you worked with that just, you really didn't get along with, or, that, because, the bunch of people that you work with, there's always bound to be somebody you just don't get along with. Now, like I said, you don't have to throw anybody under the bus or say their name, but was there anybody, or was there a few people that maybe you just, you couldn't work with, or you just didn't get along with?
No. You know what, it is wrestling, and we are paid to be dramatic. So it was kind of like being dramatic was part of the business, and it's just, we're all very strong personalities in the wrestling business, and I would say no. I mean, everybody, you have to appreciate everybody, you meet in that business, but we are very, very aggressive personalities.
All right.
So, no, it's just kind of, I'm just glad I wasn't a guy, because I'm telling you, my job was the freaking easiest. I couldn't imagine, like, somebody being new in the business and kind of not doing something what they were supposed to be. Because, you got to, those guys, man, they can get hurt really bad if they're not paying attention, so.
Yeah.
So, Debra, we recently seen Trish Stratus. She went into the WWE Hall of Fame. Lita this past year went to the WWE Hall of Fame. If the day comes and, WWE calls and says, we want Debra there, who do you want to induct you into the Hall of Fame?
I would probably say Jerry. The puppies.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
If you could think about anything you've done in your career, anything that you would do over, would there be anything that, hey, I did this night, I wish I could have just, maybe not have done that or worn that or did this. Is there anything that you always think about or regret saying, wow, I wish I did something different? Or has everything you've done in your career, been what you wanted?
I would say I probably wouldn't have spent so much on those suits that I would have made. Because, I had them custom made, and I spent a freaking fortune. And I remember I used to tell Steve Austin, man, why didn't I just do like you and kind of wear the same outfit every time? And me, I had to go get one made, a different one for every freaking show, and I was paying a lot of money for those outfits. And I'm thinking, now if I had to back it up, and then when I was Queen Debra, believe it or not, I'd wear those white dresses, but they were all different. And everyone thought I was wearing the same white dress. So that, I would have worn the same white dress as Queen Debra, and I would have worn the same suit as Debra.
Well, that's good to know.
I would have just put the color out, and that would have been it. Now, yeah.
It's just hard to believe from my point of view that little bit of fabric would cost that much.
Oh my God, it was expensive. I mean, it was just like, because the way, I guess I'm so, like, I wanted to entertain, and I feel like, well, the fans, you know, I didn't want to be born and wear the same outfits. Kind of like, you know, you're paying a lot of money to watch wrestling. You're paying a lot of money, and you want to see a superstar. You got to, you know, you want to dress like a superstar and act like a superstar, you know. And I don't know. Maybe I am a little flamboyant. So,
all right.
But I tell you what, now I would have wore the same suit.
That's great. Debra, we know that you're still in school, getting your master's. Is there anything, because there's a lot of fans out there who would love to meet you still to this day from all over the world. Is there anything you would love to tell our listeners and your fans that you would want them to know about you?
No, I guess, I'm very personable. And, I mean, one thing I just want to thank all my fans because, without wrestling fans, I wouldn't have had a job. And, they've made my life wonderful, too. And I hope I made their life wonderful. And I'm so glad with the network because we can still connect.
Definitely.
So I just want to say, thanks to my fans,
Awesome, yeah. Without wrestling fans, we probably wouldn't have a show, right, Jonathan?
Absolutely. It would just be the two of us talking.
And Debra, is there anywhere where people can, follow you or, the whole social media world, Facebook or Twitter or anything where fans can keep up with you?
Yeah, I'm getting pretty computer savvy here with all my grad school stuff here. And I actually finally got a Twitter. I signed up for that. So they can go to WWE Diva Debra.
Okay.
And then, and let me tell you what, boy, those things, you have to be on top of all those little fake profiles, too.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious. I mean, I remember when I joined, it was like 10 other fake me's, and that is so nerve-wracking, I will say, that you have to really go in there and watch and make sure people don't, create these fake accounts because that's what's so annoying about. But if you don't have, like Facebook or one of those, for me, it's like somebody else will have one saying you. And then, my Facebook is Debra McMichael Marshall. Okay. So it's, my maiden name is Marshall, so it's Debra McMichael Marshall.
Okay.
I think I have to apologize, Debra. I'm pretty sure one of those accounts was me. So I'll just apologize, for causing you any problem. But now that you're getting your degree, your master's in criminal justice, I'm quite afraid that you can find me, track me down. So I apologize for creating a Debra account.
Oh, I will say this. There was a class I took last semester that I got really savvy. It was called Cyber Warfare and Security.
Wow.
How about that one?
She's on to you, Jonathan.
So I rised up fast.
Perfect. Debra, we can't thank you enough. We really appreciate your time here. We'd love to speak to you down the line in the future again, too, if you'd love to join us again.
Yeah, anytime. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because I love you. You guys are fun to talk to.